our race winner, or I should say our Daytona 500 winner.
Champion
has arrived. Mr. Tyler Reddick. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. I know that the celebration has been well underway, so thanks for spending some time with us. But really, just before we get started with questions, take us through that final lap from your seat in the car, and really just like, what did it feel like when you realized you had indeed won the Daytona 500?
Well, it wasn't until I was basically back around in front of the speedway on the cool down lap when someone finally said, yes, you won the race. Because obviously, you know, a number of these races have played out where, I mean, I crossed the start-finish line first, but in the moment, I'm not looking for, you know, the flashing yellow lights or the green light on the fence. So I'm just, you know, did I win? Did I win? Are you sure you won? You know, it took a couple minutes to get that verification. But in the moment, cross start-finish line, I mean, the only time I've ever felt the level of emotions I did in that moment was winning the pole at the Charlotte Roval when Rookie was in the hospital. Just, you know, for me, that was a whole different set of reasons, right? Like everything that my son was going through, our family was going through. But crossing the start-finish line first here in this race, the race that, I mean, I watched a lot of NASCAR racing growing up, but I would never miss a Daytona 500 as a little kid growing up out in California, you know, sitting with my family on Sunday watching this race. And I just, again, dreamed of one day just have an opportunity to run in this race. And I've had, you know, this is my eighth opportunity to run this race, I believe. And it wasn't the smoothest day, but, you know, when it mattered at the very end, we did a really good job of being in the mix. And we had that caution with, you know, 8 or 9 laps to go. It was hitting me like the weight of the moment, how this situation that I am getting ready to be in on this restart is a situation I've been dying to have, an opportunity I've been dying to have my entire life. And to kind of screw it up and lose the lead a couple laps in and, you know, the top's rolling, taking the white, I was like, damn, that sucks. And then, I mean, they wrecked, and it was just, you know, it may have seemed chaotic watching it, but from my seat, the whole last lap played out really slow and really smooth, and everything kind of just fell into place how I wanted it to.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open for questions. As always, if you have a question, raise your hand. We're going to work to get a mic to you, and we're going to start with Jenna Fryer, and then, all right, go ahead, Matt. We'll start with Matt, and then go to Jenna.
Sorry, Jenna. I don't know how much you've been able to, like, MattWeaverMotorsport.com, been able
Hi,
to...
Matt. Yeah, I know.
I know. Thanks, Allie. I don't know how much you've been able to, like, digest the replays, or if it's...
Just once. I've only seen it once, yeah.
Just the importance of Riley there, just, you know, giving you the pushes you needed. How vital was he?
Critical. I mean, I don't win that race without Riley Herbst. That is a fact. And I think for me, I respect him even more, you know, on the front stretch for, you know, he pushed me, you know, to the 38. I got to 38, and now I'm in front, the 9's in front of me, and I make my move. And, you know, I love that he made the move that at the moment was right for him to win the Daytona 500. And I told him that, man, I'm sorry it didn't work out for you in the way that you wanted it to, but you did, in my opinion, he did everything right on that last lap as well, pushing me and then doing everything he could to win the race for himself. Obviously, they all crashed, but he did a really good job today as well.
And then anyone that's covered you over the last year, we've seen the emotional roller coaster you've been on, and just professionally and personally, right? So to go through a winless season, to come back here, you know, process that, all the things at home to win the Daytona 500, just what is that like, riding that just from inside your shoes?
Yeah, I mean, I never knew when I had the opportunity to race Cup, if I would win Cup races, but when I did, I enjoyed it a lot. And, you know, I had a number of years there where I won multiple races. So to have last year play out the way that it did was it was rough. Obviously, everything else happening outside of the racetrack was not easy to manage as well with my son. And so to get through all that, and here we go, it's 2026, and go race. You know, I definitely worked really hard in the off season, but you know, it's tough when you don't win. You got all these expectations to win multiple races, could be for championships, and we didn't really live up to those last year. So we had a lot of hard conversations in the off season on top of everything else that was going on, and to be able to dig down deep and get recentered, reset, if you will, and come into this year. And I mean, yeah, we didn't have the perfect race, but the last stage went really well for us. You know, it was the kind of execution we've been dying to have on the speedways to win, like we did at Talladega a couple years ago. So to be able to do it the way that we did and just be in the mix at the end is everything we could have asked for. I'm just really proud of how honest everyone at 2311 on my team and in the organization was with each other, having the tough conversations to kind of, you know, work this stuff out so that when we get into 2026, we're not trying to fix 2025 in 2026. We're reset, we're ready to go, and it's one race, certainly, but to do it the way that we did today with the day that we kind of had, it says a lot about the work we put in the offseason.
All right, Jenna, go ahead.
Jenna Fryer, AP. Congratulations, Tyler. Denny was in here talking about a team meeting a few weeks ago that I assume you were at, where he reminded everyone of how happy Michael was at when you won Talladega. And he said, you guys are the only ones in the world who have the ability to bring him that joy.
Yes.
What does it feel like to give a guy who's won everything possible to a Daytona 500 win?
It's kind of like what I told him, Matt. It's stuff you dream of as a kid. Now, I definitely didn't look in the future and know that I'd be driving for Michael Jordan in a Cup car, but to be able to have someone like Michael Jordan believe in me enough to want me to drive here, someone like Denny Hamlin to believe in me enough to want me to drive here, and then deliver in these clutch moments like I've been able to do over the last couple of years. 2025, I didn't, obviously, but to bounce back from that rough year we had last year and just try and do my best to deliver on the promises that I make to them and vice versa, just to be able to do these great things for Michael, someone who that loves racing as much as he does and is passionate about winning as much as I am or Denny is, to be able to come through on those promises and meet those expectations is the type of stuff that you just love to be able to do. And for me, as a kid growing up, I wanted to, be a Cup driver. I wanted to win races in the Cup Series, but to be able to do it for the type of people that I'm able to it just doesn't seem like real life. It doesn't seem like reality. So I'm just trying to do everything I can to soak in the moment, and just really thankful that people like Michael, people like Denny, Curtis, Gene, my whole team, the whole organization believe in me enough to let me strap into the 45 and go out there on the racetrack.
All right, we're going to go to Jeff Gluck here in the far corner.
I feel like probably a lot of the preparation for super speedways comes down to thinking that it's going to be a big pack at the end and making moves with the lines
Correct.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But so this was such a weird one where the pack was broken up and you had like a couple guys out on an island and the runs are coming back and forth. What did you do to adjust, and what was going through your head as you're like, oh, I mean, you're taking a run, but you don't know we haven't seen it enough to really know what that kind of stuff does, if that makes sense.
True, but also the nice thing about having the run is the guys that you're catching also don't know what's going to happen either, right? Because they're not used to it as well. So it's nice being the one that has the run. But yes, we've seen a number of races play out where it's 2x2 and you try and surge at the right time, and this was anything but that. And yeah, certainly no one really knows what's going to happen, and I think that's where I was fortunate to be in a position where I had momentum, but also then just trust my instincts. The way this race ended kind of reminds me of Talladega a couple years ago when I was at RCR. It was kind of the same thing, just a very unorthodox ending to the race, and just you just kind of trust your gut, you know. I feel like some of these races I've been able to win, whether it's in Cup or in other things in my life, when things get really chaotic, I'm able to just lean on instinct, and things just feel like they happen slow, and I'm able to just, more times than not, get the job done.
Will people go back and watch this and try to learn what happened from this, or are people going to say, "This was too"? There's so many things that happened. It's so weird. That was just a weird one.
I mean, in the moment, it felt that way, but after watching the replay once or twice, it's like, man, you know, there's a lot. I mean, it's all very specific, but there's a lot of things that certain drivers did, whether it was Riley or whether it was Zane or even Chase, that kind of set up, you know, the perfect scenario for me to do that. So to some degree, yeah, you'll, as a driver, you want to go back and look at the stuff and see what you can learn. But yeah, the way that the whole last lap played out with the crash, you know, with the Spire cars, you know, it makes it very outside of the normal of what we've seen at a place like Daytona.
All right, we're going to go Dan and then Bob. Go ahead, Dan.
Dan Gelson, Associated Press. Tyler, I mean, how is Rookie doing? I mean, there was a big update last year. How is he doing? Was he able to travel? Is this something?
Yeah, he's here. He did great. I mean, he's been. He came home around Martinsville weekend last year. It's just been doing really good ever since he came home. I mean, he was doing good in the hospital too, but yeah, it was really cool. We got to take like a 3-day vacation, do a little Disney cruise out of Canaveral before coming up here on Monday, and it was awesome. Like he's always been kind of crawling, but he started to figure it out on the cruise ship, which was fun. Then basically ever since we've been here in the bus here at the track on Monday on, he's been like a speedster, crawling fast. So he's seen some of the other kids, some of Briscoe's kids, some of the other little ones running around the playground that are probably way less than Rookie. He's a big kid for his age, walking, and he wants to already do that too. So a fun little milestone happened while we were here. He started really crawling fast, and we have to keep up with that, keep him away from the stairs in the bus.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, go ahead.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. Was Rookie in victory lane? I saw it with Bo was there.
Yeah,
Was,
they
so
both were.
Can
yeah.
you explain the emotions of seeing Rookie in victory lane and what that meant to you, and then compare that to seeing Michael Jordan in victory lane?
Yeah, we're kind of hitting all of it at once. Yeah. I mean, yeah, basically the way it plays out, I was wondering where my family was as I'm out on the front stretch, you know, doing the interview and everything. I was just ready for my son, like in the duel a couple years ago, to come running across the grass. But my wife and everybody was kind of waiting for victory lane. So I didn't see him out there, but when I was rolling up to victory lane, I saw Chip while I saw Bo with Chip. Bo jumped in the car, so that was really fun. But yeah, I just remember getting out of the car, and typically I've just been able to focus on Bo and my wife, and it's like, well, Rookie's getting to experience this for the first time too. And Rookie's a trooper, whether it's been the Thunderbirds, you know, blasting over the track, just super loud and stuff I love. You know, I think I remember when Bo was really young, when the Thunderbirds would go over the track or whatever it was, things that were super chaotic, Bo was, you know, okay with, but he'd cry. And like Rookie, he's total opposite. Like the more crazy it is, whether it's from me, whether it's from Bo, whether it's from the Thunderbirds, or just stuff happening around us like in victory lane, Rookie loves the stuff. Like the crazier it is, he just starts laughing and just loves it. So he's just, he's wild, like his dad.
Like I'm curious, was it like different emotions to see family versus seeing the basketball?
Yeah,
It's
like-
just an interesting
like-
dynamic. to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I know what you're saying. Yes, the emotion I shared with my wife, my sons, is you know, it's more reflecting on the personal things that we've went through, the struggles, the hard times, the uncertainties of knowing what's going on with Rookie. Is Rookie going to be okay? You know, what's going on there? You know, so for us to have this moment in this race, you know, again, everything we went through at the tail end of last year and through the offseason, getting back under our feet, has its own place. And then over on the other side, right? Like with Denny and Michael and my team, for my team, we worked really hard on all these things in the off season to improve it and come out of the gate strong. And well, we did. We won the first points paying race. So, and then with Denny and Michael, it's those two have believed in me for years. They wanted me to be a part of 2311, and so it's a mix of coming through on the promises that I made for them and they made for me type of thing, and they believed in me a lot. Believed in me a lot, and they wanted me to be here, part of 2311, really badly. We made it all work, and these are the type of moments that I'm supposed to deliver on them for, and it's just nice to be able to do that.
All right, we're going to keep going here. Dalton, go ahead.
Hey, Tyler. Dalton Hopkins with Front Stretch. So do you buy Riley Herbst a beer? I mean, how do you thank a guy for pushing you to a Daytona 500 victory?
Whatever he wants, I'll buy it for him. Yeah. Well, me and him will figure it out. He's I remember when he was last year, starting the year, we both like coffee a lot, and I was telling him, like, yeah, I really want to have a Jura. We got Keurig machines on the hauler, and I'm like, I don't like drinking coffee out of a plastic cup. And I told him, like, I want to have a nice coffee machine on the hauler. And said, yeah, like a Jura would be really nice. He's like, oh, I love Jura. So me, like, right from the very beginning, he didn't have to. He's a good guy. Me and him split a Jura coffee machine. They're fairly expensive, but freshly ground coffee is way better than coffee in a plastic cup. And I mean, just from day one, he's always been just outstanding. And yeah, I don't know what I can do for him, but whatever it is, I'll make it happen. That's a fact.
And I think if I saw correctly, you got out of the car initially with Bo on top of it, correct?
Yeah.
That photo is one of the most popular things that comes out of this race, and it's going to be seen all over the world for until the end of time. When people look at this race, when you think of that as a father and getting to share that moment with Bo, and he's old enough to remember this, I mean, how important is that to you to be able to have him with you in that moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's super important. I was standing, in the grass, in front of the start-finish line at Daytona. After I just won the Daytona 500, I'm looking for my family. You know what I mean? Like, it's the biggest race you can win as a Cup Series driver, and I'm looking for my family to try to figure out. It's important for me to celebrate it with them. So, on the way to Victory Lane, being able to pick him up, take him with me into the Victory Lane in the car. I mean, that's what it's all about. Yes, I'm the one in the car driving it, but we go on the road as a family. I remember when I was a kid growing up racing dirt, me and my family went on the road. We made, my family, my sister would make their sacrifices to go on the road with us. It's about celebrating the wins as a family. And in the tough times, my son has done a great job of really helping lift my spirits up. I can't think of a specific moment at this time, but there's been plenty of times I've come back to the bus and we're getting ready to go ahead to the plane when I've just been irate or just sad because of something I did on the racetrack. And my son's done a really good job picking me up in those moments too. So we share these moments as a family together. Absolutely.
All right, we're going to continue with questions. We're going to go ahead with John Newby here.
John Newby fan buzz. I don't have the exact way that Denny phrased it, but he said essentially that winning the Daytona 500 and then especially so early in the year would kind of lighten you up to go through the rest of the season and, possibly hit greater heights. I'm just curious, are you kind of conscious of that feeling yourself?
I would say, for me in my career in the Cup Series, I typically come here, go to Atlanta or whatever it is, and crash at both of these places and start really heavy in the hole. Then we go out west and I kind of catch up. So for me, in the grand scheme of things, starting the year off on a good note, winning this race is obviously a big thing, but having a solid point stay, all those things with how this is going to work out this year, it's a big positive. Again, kind of tying back into the conversations me and the whole team had in the off season about what we got to improve and correct to be able to come out to a race like this that's so hard to so hard to win, and it's easy to kind of get off on the strategy and the execution of. We did a really good job of in the final stage. So we've done a really good job of setting ourselves up for success, and I think, this just, if anything's going to motivate us to work that much harder at the start of this year as we get going.
All right, we're going to go Claire and then Davey over here.
Claire Beeline, Dialed In Journal. When you made your move that won the race and you were thinking about it and you held off just till the right moment, right? After last year, A, did you lose your confidence last year? And then B, it's such a commitment track, you got to go. When you decide to go, you got to go get it. Were you at all thinking, well, what if it doesn't work? And how did you boost the confidence from last year into making a move like that?
They played out very differently to me the 2 years, but again, I feel like middle of the race, everyone we kind of had a chat about, we got to do what's best for the 45, and yeah, we're going to work with our Toyota teammates as much as we can. But I was definitely worried about other people a little bit too much, and it was a good time in stage 2 to kind of have that conversation because it really set myself up to have a real big shift going into stage 3 of how I'm going to approach the race, the rest of the race, how am I going to approach the end of the race. And so, yeah, for me, I feel like as much as it stung to not really have a good stage 1 and stage 2, it was necessary to have the stage 3 that we did to be able to win the race.
So did you and Riley, you talked about some of the coffee maker and all that, but did you ever have a conversation with him? The manufacturers meet and talk about we're going to work together. Did you ever have that conversation about helping each other, pushing each other? Hey, I'm going to help you. You're going to help me, whatever. Did you have that?
I mean, there's been plenty of conversations between, Phoenix at the end of last year and now, but I mean, it's pretty much understood. If we see one of our cars and it's that situation, if we're in a position to be able to push one of our own cars, we're going to do it. And he did an outstanding job of it. And again, I love that he did everything he could to help me, but he also helped himself in the process of it. I would have been still happy to win the race if he would have just stuck with me. But I love that he, just like we've talked about, leading up to this race, help your teammate, but also help yourself. And he did the right things to put himself in position to potentially win the race as well. And I respect him a lot for that.
All right, we're going to go Davey and then Steven in the middle. Go ahead, Davey.
Davey Siegel with SiriusXM. Tyler, I don't know how much of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race, got that right, and the truck race that you watched this weekend, but it seemed like race control let things play out a little bit more over the course of the weekend. Some incidents in the past that may bring out a yellow, whether it was single or multi-car, they let go green. And one of the wrecks on the last lap, the first one that kind of allowed you to scoot through to have yourself in a good position, could have triggered a yellow, but it didn't. How aware were you of that, maybe even going into the race? And in the moment, I'm sure it's very chaotic.
Yeah,
but
I mean, not much in the moment, but, across the series, when these things happen, it's typically, yes, you see cars have contact with one another or the wall and then come spinning across the track, but they don't impact the inside safer barrier very hard. And so, yeah, you got cars spinning across the track, but they're off the racing surface. They're kind of out of harm's way. When we come back around, we're only going to run to the start-finish line. So, on one hand, yeah, I guess I was surprised because the way that, McDowell and Hostfar got together, I was expecting them to hit something harder than they did. But, I mean, these cars are pretty draggy. When they get sideways, they do slow down quite a bit. So, I mean, again, once I understood the caution wasn't coming, I moved on to the next thing I needed to do to try and win the race.
you said that no one talked to you on the radio until almost a full cooldown lap?
I think they were trying to, but everyone was losing their mind, most likely.
So what were you thinking?
I didn't know if I'd won the race or not. I mean, in the moment, I knew I crossed the start-finish line first. But I did, I don't know if the yellow light was on before I got the start-finish line and Chase was ahead of me. I don't know any of that stuff. Yeah, everyone wrecked, but again, I didn't want to get ahead. I didn't want to get ahead of myself. I didn't want to think I'd won the race and then be told a couple seconds later I hadn't. that'd be devastating, especially after last year running second. So I was just trying to keep myself in check until I knew I'd won.
All right, Stephen, go ahead, and if I can get a microphone to Holly up front, please.
Stephen Toronto, West Toronto 92 Network. Tyler, you've experienced winning at Daytona before between the truck race 2015, the O'Reilly race 2018. Mm-hmm. And so obviously you've experienced what it's like to win a race at Daytona and to feel what that's like. But I'm trying to figure out the best way I can phrase this and not just have it be a road, oh, how does this compare to that? But what is it like to, I guess, just compare the feeling of the truck race, the O'Reilly race, and then those compared to the Daytona 500 specifically?
Yeah, I think there's a few ways to look at this, but I think for me, I'm excited for what this year holds. When I won that truck race here, I went on to have a really good fight with Eric Jones for the Truck Series title that year. Ultimately, came up a little bit short. That was my best shot to win a Truck Series championship on that year. I looked to, the year I was with Junior Motorsports and won that race in dramatic fashion against my teammate and Elliott Sadler. I had a pretty rough year between that point and Homestead at the end of the year, but we learned a lot together, we grew a lot together, and then we went on to win a championship. So, for me, I'm excited to see what this year holds. Typically, when I've won at Daytona to start the year off, things have come together by the end of the year for me. Things go well, so I'm excited for what that means. But yeah, I never knew where the first place I'd win, a race across the 3 series would be. I thought possibly it could be Vegas, with how I've ran there, in the Cup car in recent years. But for it to happen here, it just seems very fitting.
Gotcha. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to go to Holly. Go ahead, Holly.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Tyler. Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. The photos that I'm seeing on social media, Michael Jordan is got a grin like I haven't seen him have since he became involved in NASCAR. How aware are you of the joy that you have produced for someone that's already a champion in another sport? It's really something to look at.
Yeah, I'm very aware. It's very fulfilling. These are the kind of things that I wanted to deliver to Michael, to Denny, to Curtis, to the entire ownership group. So, we didn't dominate the race today by any means, but in the clutch moments on the final lap, we found a way to deliver. And so for me, I'm very thankful to be in this position, to have the trust of people like Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, to be able to drive the 45 and in these situations deliver.
All right, we'll take a question in the back.
Jessica Garcette, Grandstand Magazine. First of all, congrats, Tyler.
Thank you.
I actually had the chance to drive a few laps around Daytona this weekend, and I have to say my hat's off to you and to all the drivers. It's a lot harder than it looks. I want to go back a bit and ask you about your first time driving around a track like Daytona. Can you explain your feeling, what you were thinking, and then looking back on that, did you ever think a day like today was possible?
I only dreamed it was possible. I think what year it was, I don't think I'll get right, but I remember I needed to run a test here for Cunningham Motorsports a long time ago to be able to, I had to run the test here in ARCA for Cunningham. I had to run the ARCA race. I think we ran like 3rd or 4th that day to be able to run the Truck Series race the next day for BKR in my first part-time year in the Truck Series. So, I just remember going out there in that ARCA test and just thinking, man, this is crazy fast, and it just seems so surreal. I've watched so many races here as a kid growing up, and I'm finally on the racetrack, and I'm testing by myself, single car stuff, but nonetheless, it's like I've always dreamed of being able to drive off of turn 4 through the tri-oval and see the stands. Yes, they were empty when I tested here, but just seeing this place, I mean, it's just stuff I dreamed about. So, yeah, never would I know it would lead to me sitting here talking to you guys about winning a Daytona 500. But certainly as a young kid growing up, I always dreamed that hopefully this would one day be reality.
Okay. I know we have one here in the middle. Do you have a question? Go ahead.
Danielle Anderson, Flagler News Weekly. There was a real kind of all-American vibe out there among the fans today. Very family-friendly, hometown kind of feel. What would you say to all the young fans that were out there today about their dreams and never giving up?
Yeah, I think for me, I remember it, but I can't tell you what dang year it was, so long ago. But I was racing at Volusia Speedway. I think it was the year Kenseth won the rain shortened race here. But we were racing in Volusia for like my first or second time in a late model, and me and my family, we came out to the racetrack. We parked our toter home, I feel like a mile and a half away from the dang racetrack, but we had tickets on the backstretch grandstand, and our whole family, we went up in the backstretch there, and we watched the race, and I just remember thinking, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. I had the opportunity to go to Bristol and Nashville in years past, but for me, being at Daytona and seeing the Cup cars on the racetrack was just so unreal. Like, I've gotten to watch it on TV, but being here and watching that was just a really cool moment. And it was a shame the race did get rain shortened and everything, but just every time the cars came down the backstretch, I mean, they're moving. I mean, they're going so fast. And it was just a really fun moment to be able to spend with my family. Yeah, it was a shame it got shortened by rain, but we still had a bunch of fun. And I think for me, you never know what the future holds. If you keep your dreams big, if you work really, really hard, obviously you got to make sacrifices along the way as well, whether it's yourself or your family. And everyone in my family put a lot into this. I put a lot into this. My parents, my grandfather, my grandparents. And it just took everyone's teamwork like we had today to make moments like this reality.
All right. I believe Zach had a question right here.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Tyler, congratulations. Are you someone who pays attention to your legacy in the sport at all, and like just kind of these like milestone?
The only part of it that I kind of have is the amount of second place finishes I've had. It drives me nuts, the amount of second place finishes I have. I'm on par to be all time of the current drivers the way I've gone so far, but just that part.
To finally have a crown jewel win on your resume now, what do you feel like this does to? I don't know that you needed to have anything like that to validate.
I needed crown jewels. I really thought. I mean, you never know how things are going to go, but I really thought the place that would happen first would possibly be the the Coca-Cola 600. Then being here, I mean, I was always okay there at RCR2, but since being at 2311, we go to Darlington for the Southern 500. I thought, okay, well, maybe it'll happen there too. But yeah, to be able to get this one before the others. I know I wanted Indy, but it was the road course, so I don't know if it kind of falls under the umbrella. But this one really stands apart on its own. Obviously, like, you're a champion.
All right, we're gonna go to Dustin and then Peter. Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin Lupino, JC. Tyler, you mentioned all the seconds, but you're just the fourth driver in the modern era to win their first 9 races at different tracks. What makes you such a
Say that again? What?
You're the fourth driver in the modern era to win your first 9 races at different racetracks.
Oh, wow.
What makes you such
not very consistent, I guess. I say I'm consistent, I'm not.
Well, the list is pretty good. It's Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch, and Bill Elliott. So, like, what?
Shit. Okay. That is a good list.
What makes you so versatile?
I think it's my dirt racing background. I really do. when I grew up racing outlaw karts in California, we raced at like 3 or 4 different racetracks, but man, you could go to those places and every night they're a little bit different. Volusia down the road. I remember some years we come here and it'd be hooked up fast all night long, and some years we come here and it'd just be slick and slow and hard to get a hold of. And I think just as a dirt racer growing up, you just always have to be prepared for things to go in a direction you're not expecting. And that can happen, in asphalt racing and stock car racing. But just, I feel like, Paducah, Kentucky is a great example of this. Like, you go there sometimes and it would be slicked off in hot laps, and then other times you go there and it's wide open all night long. Whether I-55 Speedway, Ken Schrader's racetrack over in St. Louis, same thing. And so I think just being versatile is the name of the game of a good dirt racer. And I did everything I could to kind of emulate what I would see from those guys growing up. When I was a young kid, I'd go to Silver Dollar Speedway and watch Steve Kinzer just dice it up. And as I got older, I got to work with guys like, Scott Bloomquist and work with, be around like guys like Steve Richards with Rocket Chassis. And there's just so many really smart people I got to be around, and I got to learn a lot of things from. And I think, just having that versatile background from the dirt racing side of things kind of set me up to be able to adapt to, the different tracks that we go to. I felt like I found a way to screw it up just about every time I went there, but like going to Chicago and that being as different as it was, being able to adapt quick. And that's why I'm excited to go to San Diego here soon. So I think just the adaptability of a dirt racer really comes in handy a lot of places we go.
All right, Peter, go ahead.
Tyler, right here to your left. Peter Strada with TSJ Sports. Going off those last few questions, you're the first one to win all 3 February races here, trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. Just what is your reaction to hearing that?
I wondered that. So, yeah, since I won the Xfinity race here, I was telling myself I need to pick it up and win a dang Cup race here. Well, obviously the 500, so that is interesting. I wondered if that was a thing or not, so I'm glad you told me. But I don't know, something about February and Daytona works okay with me. I like racing here in the summer a lot too. Obviously, it's a little bit more slick and handling's a factor, but yeah, whether it was the truck race or that Xfinity race, the O'Reilly Auto Parts race, a couple years ago or today, all 3 days when I rolled into the racetrack, obviously three totally different phases of my life. On those 3 days, something just felt right, and it came to be reality.
All right, we're going to take our final question.
Yeah, Edgar Thompson, Orlando Sentinel. What would Michael Jordan say to you? What would you guys do when you shared that moment?
He was very proud of me. He's always wanted to win this race, and it kind of just kept going back to, this is why he wanted me to be here. And Denny, same thing. They talked about, my instincts as a driver, and just the way that last lap played out. There was no premeditated thoughts. It was just all going off instincts and gut. So, yeah, they were just obviously really happy. But again, the way that race played out is why they wanted me to drive the 45 in situations like that, delivering, and it was nice to be able to do that.
Well, what's your memory of him as a player, and what's it mean just to be able to celebrate that moment? I know Holly kind of asked you, but get a bear hug and everything from the greatest athlete maybe ever.
It's incredible to be able to have him as an owner on a number of levels, but to have someone like that believe in you as a driver, believe in the team, and then support myself and the team the way that he does means the world to us. Again, when it came about me possibly going to 2311 to race there, to have someone like Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin saying, "You're our first pick. You're the guy that we want most." It's like, oh geez. I mean, again, I don't even think I'd want to race at RCR yet. So I mean, it's just crazy. but they believed in what I bring to the table. So it's nice to be able to deliver on those things for people like that.
Well, Tyler, thank you for spending so much time with us here. Enjoy these next couple days, and
Hours,
congratulations
days,
again on winning the Daytona 500.
Thank you. Awesome. Oh.
All right, we have now been joined by Billy Scott, our race winning crew chief, today for the number 45 with Tyler Reddick. Billy, congratulations. I know all wins matter, but the Daytona 500 is always one that feels a little bit more special. Just tell us about those final laps and what it was like from your vantage point on the pit box to watch Tyler make all those moves for the win.
Yeah, it was incredible. We don't get to really see the full view of it, so I'm sure it'll be fun to go back and watch. And it really hasn't sunk in yet either. Certainly exciting. You're happy to just be in contention after, these races. You never know how they're going to play out, and a lot of carnage. And we barely missed a few of them. Got hit one of the right there in the first 10 laps or so of the race, got hit in the right rear and got in the middle of that one wreck, and then we barely made it through. So just to be in contention first off is always exciting, and then to realize as we were coming down to the last couple laps that we kept having the lead of a row, and then ultimately to get a big push from our teammate Riley. That's just hats off to him for staying committed with us and giving us the big push, and Tyler making all the right moves.
All right, we'll now go to questions from the media. If you have a question, raise your hand, state your name, affiliation. We're going to work to get a microphone to you. We'll start with John Newby, and then we'll go to Matt Weber. Go ahead.
John Newby, Fan Buzz. The last time you guys celebrated a win, Tyler used the outside lane to fly past Blaney and get into the championship four. Now you guys got a crown jewel. I mean, where do you rank these finishes among the all-time, your 8 wins as a crew chief, and then how does he keep doing this on the last lap?
Yeah, that's impressive. There's been a few of them, but that's what it takes. I'd say this is probably the first one. Again, it hasn't really sunk in yet, and I think all the stuff to come out of this is going to be very special. But more than anything, just growing up here on the West Coast, just a few hours from here, and coming here as a kid, sitting in the stands, watching.
It's probably hard to articulate because you're in the moment, but what do you recall about whether it's your blood pressure or where your headspace was throughout the entire course of those last 2 laps? Because I know how we are in here watching it, so we can't imagine what it's like to be you in the chair. Yeah,
it's a little different. I think once in these situations when you've made the last pit stop and we've kind of.
The Athletic, this is for Denny. Michael today, going back to the outside the courtroom, you guys were all conciliatory. We're all in this together. That message continued today. Michael, before the race told Fox Sports, we're moving forward. We want to be here. We love this. In Victory Lane, much the same message. Where is that coming from? And what is the message you would say down to the sport as it's kind of trying to move forward and put in the past?
I think that December was a wake-up call. I think that the conversations since then has been a lot of self-reflection, in my opinion, from NASCAR about. I think that they would have done things differently had they had the opportunity to. But we knew that we needed to stick up for what we believed was right. I said all along I was very confident for the last year because I knew what the facts were, but we have to now figure out how we can get the sport back where it was decades ago. And in order to do that, the only way we can do it is we're all going to have to pull the rope in the same direction. And even conversations that I've had with NASCAR executives as late as a couple days ago, sitting in a bus talking about what do we need to be 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now? What does the sport need to look like? Those were all really good conversations, and they were very open to, suggestions. And it's a little different now. Now the proof will be and what happens, right? Is there actions behind the words? But it seems like there's more of a collaborative pull of the rope than what I've even since December. The team owner meetings were much more productive than what they've been really since I've been an owner. So it seems like they're willing to make the changes that it needs to make the sport grow, because we're all going to be better when the sport grows, and we've got to work really, really hard at it. But I think we can get there.
You're a notorious
where we can, but in moments like this, when their spotters are talking them through every move they make, and they're having to make so many decisions in a few laps, that it's just kind of watching and just out of our hands, kind of hoping for the best.
Okay, I believe Claire has a question.
Claire Belang, Dialed In Journal. You look at all that you put in to try to win a race like this. It now no longer is win and you're in. And so you win this race. And what does it mean when you think about that and you think that it's just this win? What does it do for the team? What does it do for the season? We used to say it was win and you're in, but now it still does some things to kick off the season this way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Points are still going to be important. You still get more points for winning. And, that's still what we come here to do. So, yeah, it doesn't make it where we're locked in. But if we had to depend on this win to get ourselves into the chase, then we probably didn't deserve to be there anyway. We've obviously came off of a less than desirable year last year and put a lot of work into a lot of different aspects of our team and how we wanted to approach things and how we wanted to be disciplined on what we can control. And I think we did pretty well at those things tonight, and it paid off. And the results are usually just a result of doing that, putting in your best, and sometimes it works out.
And what does your team owner do for you, Denny Hamlin? Like when you win, is it like party at 2311, beer for everybody,
Yes.
bells ringing? I don't know what you do over there.
No, all of the above. Yeah. This is going to be a different one, celebrating here.
All right, I do
He
want
knows how to do it, though.
I do want to introduce that we have been joined by our race-winning team owner, Denny Hamlin. Denny, thank you for joining us. You're obviously you have the most wins of an active driver currently with 3. You've won it as a driver. You obviously know the excitement Tyler has, but what does it feel like to win it as an owner?
Yeah, it's. Oh, is this on? It is now. No. Yeah. I can't freaking hear. My ears ringing. It's different, but like it's fantastic. I mean, certainly, I know the odds of winning here is very, very small, but I also know that this is the most chances I had with 5 cars, myself and these 4 2311 cars, and just after I got crashed for the last time at the end, I was like, all I'm looking at is the scoreboard. How many horses I still got left in the race, and to see we had quite a few cars up there for that last restart was fantastic, and I knew we had a great shot. And when they told me at the end, I had no idea how it happened, but watching it back, it just was great to see Tyler making all the right moves and Riley just being a great teammate there at the end, giving him the pushes when he needed it. But it's very gratifying. It's certainly more gratifying than other wins that I've had. Brickyard was close, but the 500 is just a little different as an owner. So it feels great. It certainly soothes the sting of our day on the 11 car.
All right, we're going to continue with questions for Billy or Denny, and I will take the next one from Bob.
Bob Harkris, Fox Sports. If both of you can answer this, that would be great. How do you feel like Tyler reacted to the winless season last year? Was he frustrated, angry, or is he a kind of more go with the flow? Like, how did he handle it all?
From my side and the things we worked on, certainly frustrated, certainly disappointed, as all of us were. We had expectations and do have expectations way higher than that. But it was never a frustration of discouragement or disappointment or blame or anything else. It was collectively, how do we get better? How do we work on the things that we can improve ourselves? And he has been all in on everything that's come up from ownership, from within our team. He's entered this season with a new, I think, a new rejuvenated outlook on things. And I think we've all felt that internally, and tonight it shows.
Well, so from my standpoint, obviously I was not able to. The off season is usually where I spend the most time at 2311. Obviously, this off season I didn't get to spend as much time there as I wanted. But I talked to a lot of people in the shop, and they felt like Tyler had changed his not approach. What's the word I'm looking for? It's just changed his outlook and really was optimistic, all in on correcting the wrongs, right, and wanting to get better this off season. So, we held a ownership held a meeting with everyone in competition a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago. I look back there, Tyler's the only one making notes, and he just was really turned on, and so that's what we want out of him, right? I knew 4 or 5 years ago, whenever it was, when I talked to him for the first time about, hey, I need you over here. Billy, the same way, by the way. These are two guys that I specifically recruited for 2311, and wanted. Billy was one of the very first ones, and so I just knew that his ceiling was so high, and last year I don't think the expectations were certainly higher than the results as a whole, but hopefully, and I'm sure it will. Winning a race like this so early in the season, it's just I think will relieve a lot of self-pressure that Tyler puts on himself, and hopefully he can race this season loose like he always has. That's what we loved about him from the very beginning, is the guy raced loose.
All right, we will go to Jordan Bianchi.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This is for Denny. Michael today, going back to the outside the courtroom, you guys were all conciliatory. We're all in this together. That message continued today. Michael, before the race, told Fox Sports, we're moving forward. We want to be here. We love this. In Victory Lane, much the same message. Where is that coming from? And what is the message you would say now to the sport as it's kind of trying to move forward and put in the past?
I think that December was a wake-up call. I think that the conversations since then has been a lot of self-reflection, in my opinion, from NASCAR about. I think that they would have done things differently had they had the opportunity to. But we knew that we needed to stick up for what we believed was right. I said all along I was very confident for the last year because I knew what the facts were, but we have to now figure out how we can get the sport back where it was decades ago. And in order to do that, the only way we can do it is we're all going to have to pull the rope in the same direction. And even conversations that I've had with NASCAR executives as late as a couple days ago, sitting in a bus talking about what do we need to be 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now? What does the sport need to look like? Those were all really good conversations, and they were very open to, suggestions. And it's a little different now. Now the proof will be in what happens, right? Is there actions behind the words? But it seems like there's more of a collaborative pull of the rope than what I've even since December. The team owner meetings were much more productive than what they've been really since I've been an owner. So it seems like they're willing to make the changes that it needs to make the sport grow, because we're all going to be better when the sport grows, and we've got to work really, really hard at it. But I think we can get there.
you're a notorious trash talker. MJ is a notorious trash talker. Why not have a little bit of fun and take some, a little bit of fun jabs or talk a little smack in the euphoria of what happened today and everything?
I mean, I think that, we feel like this is you don't want to take away from what the team accomplished and what Tyler accomplished. And certainly we don't want any headlines written other than Tyler Reddick wins the Daytona 500. So I think that's the most important thing. It's his day. It's Billy's day. And they need to be celebrated.
All right. Jeff, I believe Jeff Gluck had a question.
Denny, all throughout this last few days, NASCAR was holding the yellow. There seemed to be a trend of that, and then obviously they did so, including the last lap tonight. How do you view that as a driver and the way that they officiated the race?
Well, I think everyone is okay with whatever it is as long as it's consistent. And I think you mentioned it on social media is like, fine, as long as it's the same, or somebody said as long as it's the same for all races. And this weekend they were very consistent. So I don't think anyone should have any gripes about that. We saw, they set the tone really on Friday, and so they let those guys race it out. I was on the other end of the track. I can tell you that I didn't think I was in any danger, or the cars, because the ones that did wreck in turn one they all ended up all on the apron or the grass. So they were off the racing surface. Now there might have been one kind of running the apron or something limping home. But there was no more traffic to go through there. And it seems like how they're calling this now is that if you have to drive back through it, if there's multiple cars that's got to drive through it and somebody's on the racetrack, they're gonna call the caution. But it seemed like to me when I drove through there 30 seconds later, nobody on the racetrack was any danger, so I was fine with it.
All right, we'll come up front here. Yep, and then next. Yep, right there. Yep.
Denny, having Michael Jordan involved in the sport, whether it be today him being in victory lane or during the lawsuit, what do you think that has meant to the sport?
Well, it's big for the sport. I mean, he's the most popular athlete in the world. I don't think there's any disputing that. He loves the sport, and certainly, he goes to a lot of races. Sometimes you don't even see him, and he's there. He makes more races than people know. But he loves this race team, and in that same meeting that we had just a few weeks ago with the team, I reminded them about Talladega and how excited he was on pit road. And I was like, do you guys understand the responsibilities that you have, that you have the power to bring joy to Michael Jordan? Like, you have that power. And nobody else can do it. There's nothing else that can bring him the joy that seeing his team can do. And they took it to heart today.
Kind of playing off that, guys. What's it like for you two to win a championship with Michael Jordan?
Go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, like Denny said, it's just cool to see him get the joy out of that. And I can't imagine what it's like playing at the level he did and accomplishing the things he did, and then just walking away from it and going back to the things the rest of us normally experience in regular day life. That, this is a huge day for us and a big celebration, but I can't even imagine how it compares to the things he's accomplished. But to watch him genuinely be excited, and the celebration that he has is a lot what drives us. I think Denny's always commented that we really celebrate when we get a win, and part of that is feeding off of that. Like, I remember Talladega, and today was much the same. Of the level of excitement he has is unmatched.
I hope this isn't our last Daytona 500, because I'm still a competitor, and no matter how excited I am, I would be more excited if I wasn't in the race myself. So I hope that these guys can win a lot of races after I'm done racing, because there's always a part of me after they win. If they won, that means I lost. So I just want to I wish I could get rid of that little competitive bug that's in me that says, yeah, but your day, blank, blank, because I want to have moments like this where I'm unburdened by the competitive fire that I have for driving cars. So just 72 more times, 71 more times, something like that. That I'll have, after that I'll have more opportunities to celebrate and be able to really enjoy moments like this. So it's going to be up to them to make sure they do it well after I'm done.
All right, Jenna.
Denny, sorry to back here. Sorry to keep bringing up December, but Front Row won on Friday, RCR won on Saturday, you guys won on Sunday. All three of the big players from December. Thoughts?
All we do is win. I don't know.
Is that weird?
Huh?
Is that weird or?
It's coincidence, obviously, but it's, I'm really happy for them too. I mean, they're the ones that had to answer all the questions and stuff from last year, and we were working vigorously behind the scenes. It's late nights reading documents and just on and on and on. They had no idea what we were doing. They just were the ones that had to come to the racetrack and ask the questions. Was it a distraction, right? So, but they handled themselves like true professionals, and it's great that they're rewarded by winning the first race this year.
All right, Alan, and then Steven.
Alan Cavana for both of you. Teams, drivers, maybe some fans that didn't win today, they pointed out the fuel-saving strategy in that type of racing, especially the 3 Toyotas in front, slowing down the pace. Is that fixable? Does that need to be fixed, that type of racing? Is there a fix to that?
Well, I doubt there's a fix to it because we're just going to figure out the next way to exploit it. And I don't know that it needs to be fixed. I think we all as competitors are spending as much time trying to figure out what the next best thing is and how to combat what each other's doing. I think it'd be like asking if you need to change how chess is played, right? Like everybody is trying to react off each other and figure out a way to get in the front at the right time. And that depends on whether cautions fly. Like stage 1 where some of them were able to stretch it all the way to the end. And to me, from where we stand, that's a very enjoyable part of it.
There's a way, but we're gonna have to increase the speeds by a lot. You're gonna have to make it to where handling matters. That's gonna spread the field. That's gonna make it to where we're not, it'll look a little more like racing from the past. But as long as their insurance company's okay with it, you're going to have to speed up the cars. Because right now we're so planted in the racetrack that we can just run in this really tight pack. And one of the suggestions is, that we talked about just a few days ago is come here next year in the Clash. Let a few of us come up with a package that we think you won't see any fuel saving. You're just going to see people hanging on. That would be the only fix.
All right, Steven. Right behind you, Brent. There you go.
Thank you. Stephen Toronto, West Toronto 92 Network. This is going to be a question for Denny. Denny, at Bowman Gray, you talked about, how you expect Riley Herbst and the 35 team to really improve this year. And now, fast forward to today, and on the last lap, he plays, sidekick to Tyler Reddick and gets praised by Michael Jordan for being a team player there. Are you pleased with the way Riley has responded? And, obviously you're pleased with the result of today, but with Riley specifically?
Yes, because I can tell you at his age and after the year he had, it would be even for me, would be very, very hard, as selfish as I am, when he had that run to not just take it. but he specifically followed the 45, pushed the 45 when he needed to, when he could have then pulled beside the 45, and then given himself a legit shot. But I definitely I really like Riley, especially as a person. He's just a great kid, very humble, very, very humble, a very hard worker. Absolutely, we expect more from him, and today was a great sign that hopefully he's turned the corner.
And you mentioned his humility and his hard work. Is that what you've seen from him in whatever conversations you've had about what you expect from him for 2026? Have you seen that reflected in his response to whatever conversations you may have had?
He's always been very self-reflecting. I never question, if he doesn't run well, the first thing he does is figure out, he asks what he could do better, right? It's not, I need, this is not right, that's not right. He's very aware and self-reflects, which is someone that's going to get better at their craft if that's their mindset. So I've never seen anything in his work ethic that has made me question his ability to get better. And again, time will tell, and we'll see this season where that 35 team is.
All right, we're going to go Chris and then Peter. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Denny. I'm Chris Gollin with NewsDaytonaBeach.com. First of all, congratulations. And I wanted to ask you a question that's similar to one that I asked Jeff Gordon last year, which is, he won the Daytona 500 3 times as a driver, twice as the car owner for Jimmy Johnson, and then 2 more as an executive with William Byron. You have 3 Daytona 500 wins as a driver, and now this is your first as an owner. I asked Jeff how many he considered himself to have won, like how many 500s does Jeff Gordon have? He said 3. Even though he could have put himself up there with Richard Petty if he wanted to. I'm curious now, do you feel like you're a 3-time 500 winner or 4-time?
I would introduce myself as 3. I certainly think that our role is very pivotal to getting these guys the resources. But when they unload here early this week, the owners are hands off. We've given you all the resources. They've made the decisions. It's the team at that point that goes out and wins the race, and so they're the ones that truly deserve all the praise.
Thanks, Denny. Congrats.
All right, Peter, go ahead. I can get a microphone to Peter. Thank you.
Right over here, Denny, to your left. Bubba mentioned on pit road that it was a big deal for Chumba Casino to be on the winning car at Brickyard last year and now Daytona this year. As a team owner, how big a deal is that for the sponsor?
Yeah, they're the main primary on the 45 for this year. They stepped up and did some great things. Xfinity over on Bubba's side stepped up to be the primary. So we got some great partners that really in the off season step up and loved to take the lead role of these cars. And so for them to have the Brickyard 400 win and now the Daytona 500. Somebody told me on the last restart that he was starting beside the other casino car. So I'm really glad that we got the better end of that deal overall. So I know that they're absolutely excited. Most of them are over in Australia. So they're, they've just been fantastic to work with. And to see them grow their presence and now be the main sponsor on that 45, this is a way to reward them for that.
All right, and we're going to end with a question follow-up from John Newby.
John Newby, fan buzz. Danny, earlier you talked about how the sky's the limit for Tyler. I know champion is the easy answer, but can you expand upon that further about, what heights you think he can reach?
Yeah, I just know his ability and the ability to get the most out of a car, to get speed out of it. Certainly at times I can't get out of cars. It might be just for a lap, but he'll get speed out of it. And so it's once you find someone that can do that with raw talent, then you start to give him a little bit of racecraft, give him a little bit of 20-year-old wisdom from mistakes I've made in the past. Next thing you know, you've really created a driver there that has got all the pieces that can win a championship. Road course racing, that's been a big part of the NASCAR schedule over the last few years. While it's reduced this year, he's no slouch there. He can go compete. So he's really, other than probably short tracks, that's the last little step for him to get a little bit better at. He's there. He's got the racecraft, and I like Riley, very humble. He's not afraid to come up and ask a lot of questions, even though he's been in the sport now for a little bit of time. So I just try to do my best to, give him all the knowledge I have. Some of the stuff he, probably needs to think twice about implementing. But it's just my job to try to give him all the information and then let him do with it what he wants to. And, that's what I love about my job, is that I'm able to come in on Monday, listen to what these drivers talk about, need out of their race cars on Monday, and can relate, because I was just on the racetrack too. So it allows me then to be able to allocate the resources to the right areas that I see fit.
All right. I made the mistake of not calling up to the press box, so we're going to do that really fast, and then you guys will be clear. There is a question in the press box. Go ahead, press box.
ChristianKnightCatchFence.com. Denny, this is 3 top 10 finishes for 2311 in the Daytona 500. What does that mean for the organization? That hasn't happened very often for you guys to have 3 cars in the top 10.
Yeah, it's, certainly a good momentum for the team. Certainly knowing that every race is really, this season's going to matter, whether it be, someone that's trying to fight for a playoff spot, or someone that's probably going to be battling for a regular season championship. So, trust me, I'm going to be in a big hole leaving here, but my team's certainly going to feel good about going to Atlanta, knowing that they had a good points day here in Daytona. And it's just really this is where the most eyes is on our sport. This is good for our partners. It's good for everyone on our race team. Winning races certainly helps a lot of things, but when you can win the Daytona 500, it I tell you, just early in the season, because I've done it, it really helps with momentum to start the year, because now you're not chasing anything. You're in a good spot. You can race a lot freer. So those guys that had a top 10, fantastic job for them.
All right. To Billy and Denny, congratulations again to both of you. Thank you for spending time with us, and have some fun as you guys party.
Thank you. Not too much.